And there it is. I think we are live. So, good morning, everybody. Hello, and welcome to this quarantine hypno Q&A. I hope everyone out there is doing as well as you could possibly be doing in this situation. I'm very sure that this is your friend right now, or your enemy, I don't know. So, before we get started, I just need to quickly have a double check on my laptop, because that's where I'm going to be able to see your comments. It's really sunny here. Obviously it's sunny, being quarantine time. So bear with me one sec. I've got a crown on. I don't understand why have I got a crown on. Let's sort that out. I know I'm the king of hypnosis and everything, but let me sort that wizardry out just here. 1 second. Let's cancel that out. Hey, so hopefully now the crown is gone. I think it might be, as far as I can tell. Before we get cracking, I've got some little friends out in the back of the garden. You might be able to see them already, and they are the chickens, and the chickens would probably like to come out and say hello. So let's just let them out for 1 second. There you go, here's some chickens. Didn't hypnotize them earlier, may have to try hypnotizing them if I get super bored during this quarantine time. I'm just again double checking that the comments are rolling. Bear with me for 1 sec. So I had a whole bunch of people submit comments. There we go. Morning, feed is clear, looking good. Hi Rory, good morning. All that stuff, fantastic. So I had a whole bunch of people submit questions before this has happened. So before we got started. So I'm going to go through those questions first, ideally, and then I am going to go through any questions that we get on the live feed. But let's go with some of the ones that we initially got sent last night. Again, I can't see anything. This was poor planning on my part. Let's minimize that right down. And here are the questions. So, if you have any questions throughout this, if anything that I say sparks any questions in you, anything that you think, oh, well, that's interesting, but what about this? Then feel free to comment, and if we've got time, we will try and get these questions answered. I'm limiting myself. I've got a timer on here to 1 minute per question. Some questions, obviously, I'm quite rapid in what I do hypnosis-wise. I'm going to try and do rapid answers to your hypnosis questions. So up to a minute, hopefully, we'll see how that goes. So the first question that we received yesterday was from Andy, and Andy said, can you hypnotize via Skype, FaceTime or Messenger, as volunteers are hard to come by, and is it safe to do so? Let's start the timer. So, can you hypnotize via Skype, FaceTime or Messenger? Yes, you 100% can. There are lots of there are lots of hypnotists and hypnotherapists out there who are doing hypnosis now, specifically because of the quarantine thing, a lot over Skype and over Zoom and over Messenger, you know, whichever platform that you choose to use. Generally, for most of the feedback that I hear, Zoom is the way to go. It's free for kind of one-to-one meetings. Shut up, chicken. But it's really reliable, a lot more reliable, I hear, than Skype, so that's good. Is it safe to do so? Oh, the sun's going in, I can actually see. Is it safe to do so? It depends on you and the way that you set things up. Really important that you set boundaries, you let people know what's going to happen if the connection drops out, that they'll wake up from hypnosis and then they'll get in contact with you, and then you can re-hypnotize them and carry on the session or wake them up properly. But as with most hypnosis, you know, it's all done listening to the sound of the voice. If you can be heard, it can be done safely. So that's that. Oh, here is my alarm. That was 1 minute exactly. Wow, how good is that? So, let's go on to that next question. So the next question is from Greece, from Stefanos, I think, my Greek translation. What is the most effective induction if you do a hypnotherapy session using Skype? I'm seeing a theme here. So where's my mouse gone? There it is. Start 1 minute timer. What's the most effective induction if you're using Skype or Zoom or whatever? Generally, rapid inductions, though it pains me to say it, are not going to be your most effective choice for hypnotizing people over Skype or over Zoom or online. This is simply because most rapid inductions tend to be very physical in nature, and you need to manipulate people, you need to move them, pull their arm, you know, that kind of stuff. So I would generally, again, stick with a more verbal induction, but it depends on the person that you're working with. As with all hypnosis, as with all inductions, you need to tailor it to your client. So your client may benefit more from a nice, gradual, progressive relaxation induction where you relax their body part. They may benefit more from a visual kind of metaphorical induction where you are, sorry, just changing the audio so I can hear the alarm. Oh no. Bear with me for a sec. I'm going to pause that timer because I'm going to run out of time because I'm just editing with my stupid stuff. Pause, timer, pause. Oh no. I got it. Technology. I'm trying to use this weird timer thing that I've never used before. I just need to mute myself because I'm talking too much. There we go, that's lovely. I ruined the timer. Fantastic. Let's go back. I'm gonna give that a couple more seconds on that question because it was definitely a good question. Where are we? Here we are. So, best induction, tailor it to your client, tailor it to the person that you're working with. Some people will benefit from, you know, a longer induction. Some benefit from using more visualization stuff. As you know, some people are less visual, so they won't. Some people, if you want a quick entry into hypnosis, you might do an eye fixation induction or a tension and relaxation induction. There are tons of options that you can use over online, you know, whatever online service that you're using. So you're not just limited to that one standard progressive induction that a lot of people use. Next question, Leslie. Hi Leslie, completed one of your online CPD courses today. Thanks for that being on offer. It's on offer, it's half price at the moment on hypnosiscourses.com, and the code is on there, you can find that really easy. I would just like to add, I would just like any additional tips on clients who are hard to get into a deep trance. I've had no problem, but then I've had 2 in 2 weeks. Well, that's a shame, Leslie. I'm assuming this is for hypnotherapy. Generally for hypnotherapy, you don't tend to need to get clients into a super deep trance in order to do effective therapy work. So that's a really important thing to remember, you know. So if someone's like, well, I'm not sure if I was hypnotized, or I could, you know, I was kind of aware of what's going on for the whole session, it doesn't necessarily matter. So long as they're paying attention and following your suggestions, a deep trance isn't that important. If you're doing something like regression or inner child work or something that takes a little bit more subconscious processing power, they need to be in a deeper state. And again, that's not necessarily for everyone. You know, not everyone can achieve that super deep state of hypnosis. And with rapid inductions as well, you know, people who aren't particularly suggestible, people who with a normal progressive induction don't go that deep into hypnosis, a rapid induction is going to take them into the same state of hypnosis. It's not a magic wand. So stick with it, keep going, and do what's right for that client at that time, and, you know, work with their level of trance that they can achieve. There's that alarm again. I'm already growing to hate it. So thanks for the question, Leslie. Next, Fraser from Glasgow. I charge £50 for a one-to-one hypnotherapy session. As far as online, I was thinking £30 a session. What are the going rates? Wow. I mean, £50, you're kind of borderline, I think, on the bottom of the ladder there. It's quite funny because my phone is up there on a ladder. So I would personally say, you know, £50, £60, that's kind of lower limit for most people, especially if you're living in a city, which you are, you're living in Glasgow. I mean, I would be, like, personally charging 60, 70, up to £100 potentially, and probably the same for online, because you're giving the same results. Hopefully you're giving the same results to the person that you're working with. Why is that worth any less just because you're doing it over the internet? It's not like a builder, because, you know, you can't have someone build your house over the internet. They need to be there in person to do it. But yes, you can do hypnosis online. You can make significant changes with people. I've done significant changes with people over Messenger, like just sending them text messages that they could read, and made significant changes doing that. Is it worth any less? I don't think so. So I'd say charge the same, but that's just my personal viewpoint. Thanks very much, Fraser. Stop that timer. Fantastic. Next, oh, it's Fraser again. Let's go with this one as well because it's very similar. Also, what would you say to charge for corporate gigs, functions, or stage shows? Start that timer. Very, very different depending on where you are. So you've got stage shows, standard stage shows. Let's assume like you're going up your local pub or wherever, sports hall, and you're doing a show there. You might charge 300, 400, 500 quid for that event, depending on the budget that those people are working with. If you're doing it yourself, it will probably be a ticketed event. So you charge people money on the door, and you get the proceeds, and you have to pay for rental of the hall or whatever it is that you do. At that point, you then you're probably going to charge about £8 to £10 for that. If you want to go see like Darren Brown or something, he's charging between like 25 and 50, 60, 70 pounds. So for just a standard hypnotist, you're probably looking at about a tenner. And for corporate gigs, just while we've got a couple of seconds left, that will depend on how much you can get. I know some hypnotists out there who do corporate gigs and they charge thousands and thousands of pounds, but you need to be solid in your presentation, in your show, to actually warrant earning that kind of money. Okay, there's that timer again. Fantastic. Alice. Hi Alice. Hi Rory. Do you think the future of hypnotherapy lies online? Can you really help a person without them being with you there in person? So a very similar one to earlier. But I don't think necessarily the future of hypnotherapy lies online, because you can get so much more information from people when you're working with them in person, when you can see them and see how they're responding and watch their body language and notice things that you can't necessarily notice when you are watching them via message, when you can't see what their legs are doing under the table, whether they're twitching or wringing their hands. You can't see the little micro expressions that they make. So you do lose a bit of information online. And also, I find working with someone, being there with them, is just a stronger experience. Personally, I know there are some therapists who only work online and have done for years. So if it's something that you want to do, you can. I don't think it's going to take over going and actually seeing a hypnotherapist, apart from in lockdown situations such as this, obviously. Wow, I did that with 6 seconds to spare. Fantastic. Thanks, Alice, for that question. Here's a random one. Jay from Norfolk. I know Jay. He lives down the road. I saw an episode of The Mentalist where some guy was hypnotised to kill someone and not remember the event. Is hypnosis strong enough? Asking for a quarantined friend. Wink. Not entirely sure about this one. Darren Brown did a stunt. Oh wait, let me start that timer. Don't want to give you extra time. Darren Brown did the stunt where they hypnotised someone to go and kill Stephen Fry, and that's all well and good that he succeeded in that. He didn't kill him, but obviously for all intents and purposes that would have happened if it was real. But that guy had applied to be on Darren Brown's show at some point, so maybe in the back of his mind he thought, well, I'm probably on Darren Brown's show right now. So yeah, it's for all intents and purposes. I mean, and I'm not recommending it, you probably could get people to not remember something significant, even something as significant as that. But it would take a whole lot of work, and it would probably be way beyond the scope of hypnosis, and it would probably more entail being completely brainwashed and tortured and that kind of stuff. Some people are proficient at forgetting things in hypnosis, but for something of that level of severity and importance, maybe not. My opinion, yet again, there's that alarm. I love you, alarm. Hope that sort of answered your question, Jay. Please don't kill anyone. Steve, why can't I perform rapid inductions? It fails every time. So that's a common thing that I hear from people who are just starting out with hypnosis, especially with rapid inductions. People can people can go into hypnosis themselves. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So the induction is just your way of helping get them to that place. A really nice tip, because I haven't got long, to get people into hypnosis and to practice using rapid inductions, start with your volunteer, with your subject, and hypnotize them using a progressive induction, a verbal induction. See how they respond to that. That will kind of give you a baseline of whether they're ready for a rapid induction. You can also do like suggestibility tests and test them that way as well. Once you've got them in hypnosis using a progressive induction, use your rapid inductions as deepeners So they're already in hypnosis. Now say, open your eyes, now stick your hands out, press on my hand, sleep. And when they do that, they'll give you a lot of opportunity to refine how you do that rapid induction process. If all else fails, come on one of my courses. They run in London when we can actually get to London. And also, I do online mentoring and training, so you can like pop me a video across and I'll tell you what you're doing right and what you might want to improve on. Also do one-to-one on Zoom as well. So feel free to come along and have a little quarantine one-to-one session. Fraser again, is it okay to do hypnotherapy without calling it hypnotherapy, as my insurance covers hypnosis? Okay, that's an interesting question. I'll tell you a story. one that I've heard of. A very prolific hypnotherapy, hypnosis and NLP trainer went across to a country where it's actually illegal to do hypnosis and to do hypnotherapy unless you're a doctor or a psychologist. And they're running a training course there to teach people how to do it. So instead of not doing it because they couldn't, they rebranded their course and they called it something completely different. Like I don't know exactly the words that they use, but like mind therapy or subconscious therapy or something like that, because it's all down to labels really, because we do hypnosis every day. We're always being influenced by one thing or another. So long as you, Fraser, are following the instructions of your insurance providers, call it whatever you want, so long as you're getting the results that you want and your clients are benefiting from it. 3, 2, 1, yeah, woo! Leslie again, do you have a script prepared for a stage hypnosis show, or do you wait to see the mix of volunteers? Okay, start that timer. Where is it? Do I have a script? No. Have I used a script beforehand? Yes. Especially when setting up, not so much, these days, once you get into doing stage hypnosis shows, you kind of have it there. If you've read my book, the Stage and Street Hypnosis Handbook, you'll see there are tons and tons of scripts. It's a really good idea, if you haven't done hypnosis shows that much, to make a script, to write down what you want to say, what you think you're going to say, what you think will be funny, and practice it, refine that script, and commit it to memory. Bullet point it down into small chunks so you can remember as much as possible. When I do stage shows, I won't have scripts, but I will have a little aid memoir stick to the back of the chairs or off to the side of the stage. A piece of paper, a couple of pieces of paper glued together, really large text telling me the names of my routines that I'm going to do, so I can just glance, okay, that's the next routine, and that's a really nice way to do it until you get proficient at remembering how your routines flow together. Most stage hypnotists tend to do the same shows every night and they have it committed to memory. There's that timer again. Hopefully, Leslie, that answered your question. Leo from Spain. Hi, Leo. It's a therapy question. When doing aversion therapy, how do you do it when the client says nothing makes him feel sick or squeamish? So, timer on. Aversion therapy, if you haven't learned on your hypnotherapy training, is a great thing to learn. A lot of hypnotherapists use aversion to make people feel a horrible response to an imagined substance. Lots of hypnotherapists do this with smoking, for instance, with like the smoking room. So they go down into the basement and everyone's smoking and it's all gross and grimy and you're choking and coughing. It's horrible. You can do aversion therapy directly by anchoring that negative state to a person. And Leo's question is, what about if someone says that they don't feel squeamish? If they don't feel squeamish, half time. If they don't feel squeamish, you need to think outside the box. You say, so what foods make you feel horrible? What foods would you never eat? And they go, nothing, I'll eat everything. Okay, so then you have to think outside the box and think, okay, what gross substances would you not want to put in your mouth? So like poo and wee and sick and blood and and all that kind of stuff. If that doesn't do it, then you have to really step it up a notch and get it so right. So if you, the timer's going to go off, but I want to finish this one because I love aversion therapy. It's great to use with anyone who puts stuff in their mouth that they want to stop putting in their mouth. So you have to step it up a notch and go, okay, so you put them in an actual situation. So rather than thinking of things that they wouldn't put in their mouth, you wouldn't put poo in your mouth, but yeah, whatever, I worked on the wards for ages and I've seen poo. Okay, so how about, if there was a big old fat horrible gross guy with BO, he came over and he tilted your head back like that, opened your mouth and went and puked last night's curry and fish and chips and beers in your mouth, and those chunky bits. It was awesome. Sorry if anyone's squeamish, by the way, but you have to step it up a notch. You have to get them viscerally interested in what you're saying to them. Hopefully, Leo, that answers your question. If not, feel free to PM me. I can talk about that shit all day. Oi! It's my brother's name. It's not my brother though. Hi, I lost 15 kg last year, prompted by your book. Thank you, and I haven't put it back on. That's not a question, but thanks for sharing, Ollie. I'm glad you. It's the Hypno Fasting, by the way. It's a really great book to help people lose weight using intermittent fasting and hypnosis techniques. Check it out on Amazon. They're still delivering stuff at this time. It might be delayed because they're delivering all the important stuff to the hospitals and all that, but it's still there. Thanks, Ollie, for that feedback. Amy, how long did it take to make proper money from stage hypnosis or hypnotherapy without having another job? Did you really have to push yourself? Start that timer. I started out doing it part-time. So for the longest time, for years and years, I was working various other jobs, like about 12, 13, 14, 15 years ago, whenever it was, when I started, I was working jobs, and I would see hypnotherapy clients at the weekend or in the evenings. I would go and do a stage show a week. So on top of my standard income that I was earning from other stuff, like my stage shows back then, I think were about £300 for a standard 90-minute show or something like that. And that's an extra 1,200 quid a month, so I was quite happy doing that just to top up my income there. So it's definitely doable. I mean, I could have quit my other job and just stuck with the stage hypnosis. I like money, so I wanted to do both, and I wanted to see hypnotherapy clients too. It's well within your realms to be able to earn significant amounts of money, to earn a full-time wage doing hypnosis, but you have to treat it as a business. You have to put the effort in. It's not just going to fall on your doorstep. So yes, Amy, it does take work if you want to do it full-time, but you can get yourself set up. There goes that timer, and you can get yourself set up within a matter of weeks and start seeing full-time clients. We had a guy on one of our hypnotherapy diploma courses with Hypnosis, and he did just that. And the very first day after he finished the course, he started seeing clients. His client portfolio was booked. He had people booked in for months and months and months, and it's been constant since then. He put the effort in business-wise. So you need to push yourself really hard in some cases, especially if you don't have a big social circle. Alice, during times like now when we're all stuck in the house, how can we practice? Start. We can practice on ourselves as a first port of call. Record something and play it back to yourself, listen to it, experience it, see how that is, refine it and learn from that. We can work with our, whoever is in our house with us, our family. We can do the online hypnosis thing. Again, if you want further information how to make sure you're doing it safely, feel free to contact me. I can help you out with a bit of information about that. But fundamentally, at the time, you're probably going to be limited, unless you have people living with you in your home, you're going to be limited to using the more verbal stuff. So it's a great opportunity for you to start practicing your inductions, your progressive inductions, eye fixation inductions, your deepening, your awakenings, your suggestions, the key part of any hypnosis experience. So start writing out suggestions. How would I get this person to stop smoking? What would I say to them? How would I get this guy to think he's got itching powder stuffed up his ass? All that kind of stuff. Practice writing it down and reflect on it, see how it would make you feel if you experienced it yourself. Really good time to practice. And also for people who are watching who are on our diploma course, also a really good time to do your homework. Love you. Leslie again. Leslie has lots of questions. I like people who ask lots of questions. What do you do if you don't get volunteers? So if you don't get volunteers on a stage hypnosis show, you pack up your bags. Off you try. No. This hasn't really happened that much for me in the past, and I have run shows with one person, and they were not the best shows in the world, but they were a hypnosis show. They did good enough. I know some people who have done shows, and I didn't start the timer. God damn it! I think I've been talking for 30 seconds. I know some people who have been doing a show and they've got no one. At that point, you might want to just work with the whole audience and because it might be that no one wants to volunteer because they don't want to be made a fool of. So if you do it with the whole audience, and obviously with safety, anyone who is contraindicated, please do not participate. Stay eyes open, by the way, but do it with everyone and see if anyone responds at that point. And that's pretty much it. If you're doing street hypnosis and you don't get a volunteer, then move on to the next group of people, because again, not everyone is super highly responsive to hypnosis. You've got the top 20-30% of people who respond really well. Those are the people you're looking for entertainment purposes. So if you don't get them, go and find someone else. There are billions of people around, and when you get out of this quarantine, you'll be able to go out and find them and use them to hypnotise them. It'll be great. Fraser, how can you reach a wider audience without paying through Facebook boosts? When just starting out, my followers went up slowly and I find it hard to get online clients. Okay, that's a very good question. Without paying for Facebook boosts, again, something that we tell all our students is, put off paying for advertising for as long as you possibly can. Work with the free stuff. Work with networking, work with posting on social media platforms and groups and sharing it and getting your friends to share it. And, whether you're doing stage hypnosis shows or hypnotherapy, either way it works. Go onto a local interest group, for weight management and say, don't spam them with stuff, but share them some information that's really useful for them, and then say, and by the way, I can actually help you out with this. You might create a blog on your website all about like how great a stage hypnosis show is, and the benefits of it, and testimonials from people, and share that. There are tons of options. Hi chicken, how are you doing? Stroke that chicken. It's a female chicken, so it's not a cock, so I didn't stroke it. It's fine. But yeah, then once you're earning enough money to be able to spend a little bit of money on advertising, then by all means do. I've been using Facebook advertising for years, and sometimes it's successful, other times it's not. It's a learning process, and there are many courses out there that will teach you how to do that and how to do it effectively. Some are really cheap, so hopefully that helps as well. Where are we? Joanna, what about confidence when things don't quite go as planned? That's common. Things don't go as planned because you're working with people, unfortunately. People are unpredictable. If you were just working, by yourself, then things would go perfectly to plan. But people do not. Oh my God, I forgot to start the timer again. People don't follow your plan all the time. So if you're doing a hypnotherapy session, sometimes people will open their eyes at the end and go, yeah, well, that was all nice and everything, but I don't think I was hypnotized. You go, oh God damn it. So you did that whole session and they just didn't think they were hypnotized at the end, and that's because probably the pre-talk wasn't sufficient, or you hadn't dealt with their unhelpful beliefs. So at that point you'd explain that to them, that people experience hypnosis in different ways, and sometimes it takes people more than one session to change, or more than one session to get used to going into hypnosis. So you pretty much have to be able to think on your feet as a hypnotist, as a hypnotherapist, because you're working with people. People are very spontaneous, and they will respond in many different ways, and you pretty much just have to suck it up as a hypnotist. If something goes wrong, work with it, work around it, find a new way to help that person. If it's entertainment, if you're doing street hypnosis, someone goes, not going to hypnosis, say, all right, thanks very much, maybe I'll get you next time, see you later, I'll go find someone else. And that's pretty much it. That's how I would deal with it anyway. Amy again, best problem you've solved for a person. I like solving problems in general. I wouldn't say there's a best one. I just like to see when people experience a change, because a best problem, how do you define that? Curing I can't say curing, shouldn't say that. Helping someone with a lifelong phobia, overcoming that. Like, that's priceless. It's amazing, and you see the joy in there. I did the diploma lot will know about this. I did a therapy session. I forgot to start the goddamn timer. I did a therapy session for someone who would not go in the room with a money spider. That severe arachnophobia, like go and call their parents from 2 villages over to come in and get it. And at the end of the session, I got a spider out of my coat. It was in a jar, it just wasn't in my coat. Spider, yeah. And eventually we got it onto her hand, and it ran off, and she smiled. That's stunning. I've helped people lose stones of weight. I've helped people kick lifelong smoking habit and reduce their drinking to the point where they can actually go out and socialize and be happy and healthy and have fun without needing to glug, which is a problem many people are facing right now, being locked at home with children. So if you're needing help, Zoom session, come on. So hopefully, Amy, that answers your question. Let me just click on, because it's nearly past already. What questions, do we have here? Any questions? Sharon Watson, morning. I've been hypnotized before. What makes me what makes me susceptible? We're not entirely sure what makes people susceptible. Different people have different levels of susceptibility. it's a natural thing. You know, some people are more susceptible or suggestible than others. It's the same with advertising. Some people see advertising and they go, wow, that advert, I need to go to Tesco's to buy it, and they can't because they're in quarantine, so tough luck. But some people see the advert and go, yeah, whatever, that's, you know, I don't need that in my life. You know, so some people are just naturally more suggestible than others. A great way to do it, to find out if you are suggestible, if you're not sure, is to go on my YouTube channel and check out any of the suggestibility tests. Find out how suggestible you are. Do the magnetic hands test or the bucket and balloon test. They're a great way to find out how suggestible you are. I'm not particularly that suggestible. You know, if there's a scale from like low suggestible to really high suggestible, you've got people who are up on stage here. Everyone in that, you know, everyone from low to high could benefit from hypnotherapy. I'd say I'm about here. Personally, I would never choose myself to go up on stage to be the hypnotic subject, unless I was like clutching at straws. But that's not something that we can really do much about. You can get a bit better with practice as a subject, you know, but we just naturally have an innate level of suggestibility, which is why hypnosis isn't guaranteed. It doesn't work the same on everyone. That's why I'm sitting here in a garden this size as opposed to the size of one attached to a mansion, right? So thanks for that, Shanna. Let's see, are there any clients or conditions you wouldn't ever treat with hypnosis? Jim Gillespie. I was going to do a couple more of these because we're at past. Thanks, Jim, for that question. There are some conditions I wouldn't personally treat. There aren't any laws that state that you shouldn't work with. I mean, there are something that you shouldn't say you can cure cancer with hypnosis. That's fucking stupid. But no, but you can work with cancer patients. You know, you can help them for, you know, their quality of life. You can boost their immune system. You know, if it's end of life, you can help them and make that better for them. But things that I wouldn't work with, anyone with severe psychological mental health disorders, psychosis, bipolar, clinical depression, any of those things, even though I've been doing it for over a decade, more than that, would not touch with a 10-foot, 20-foot barge pole, because it can affect people. Hypnosis can affect people with, you know, mental health conditions, and you don't know how they're going to respond. Obviously the standard stuff, if people are, you know, if you're working with an alcoholic, you only want to work with them when they are not actually drunk, when they've not been drinking. You know, it's kind of common sense stuff. The majority of conditions, however, you pretty much can work with, so long as you feel competent to do so, so long as you have approaches and techniques that you think will work for that client and you think are safe to use with that client. You know, if you're working with vulnerable people, you know, people who have just suffered a traumatic event, you know, you're not going to do a regression and send them straight back into that traumatic event, because that's probably not going to do much good for them. You might work in a more behavioral way, changing things that they do. You might work cognitively on the thoughts that they have about, you know, the problem or the event. You then might do some analytical hypnotherapy, do some parts therapy, do some idiomotor, finger signaling, you know, all that kind of stuff before you do it. So rather than who I wouldn't work with, it's about working appropriately with the person that you have in front of you. Hopefully, Jim, that answers your question. A version on my lunch break, Jodie Phillips. Thanks, you're welcome. Simon Patrick Jones, hi. Glenn Bailey, when doing induction, is there a way you can spot a subject is not going into a deep enough state mid-induction, or even spotting those who are unlikely to do so before you even start? It's all about compliance. You know, is someone complying with your suggestions? Are they following what you're asking them to do? Or are they sat there, you know, you close your eyes, sit there, make yourself relaxed, and they're sitting bolt upright. And as you go on relaxing now and they're peeking with their eye, just having a little look, you know, that kind of stuff, that's what you want to be watching out for. There are some hypnotists who say, well, I can tell just by looking at someone whether someone's going to go into hypnosis or not, or whether they're going to be a good subject. I think that's rubbish, personally, because I've looked at people and gone, no, I don't think so, and they're going, right? And vice versa. I'm like, whoa, they did really well on that thing, and then they come up and they go, sleep, and they go, no. So, you know, it's a natural thing. You know, different people will respond differently. The only way to know how someone's going to respond is by doing it, by practicing, by having a go, by screwing it up a whole bunch of times. Like, I'm never going to say that I'm perfect. I've always had success at doing everything that I've ever done. once upon a time, I was really bad at doing hypnosis. You know, sometimes I still do things, I'm like, why did I do that? You know, I shouldn't have done that, I should have done this. So it's a learning process, and if you're not learning, then, you know, you're stagnating. So keep learning. Even if you've been doing hypnosis for longer than I've been born, you should still be learning. If you're watching this, you probably still are. Thanks for tuning in. And let's find one more. Evan Flo. Have you hypnotized me again, or can I see chickens in the background? Ha ha ha. Both. Sleep. No. Finally. Do you think hypnosis could help people with dementia in any way? Joanna Colley again. There are people out there helping people with dementia using hypnosis, using hypnotherapy. It's an area where you can potentially help people, but again, due to how dementia works and how it affects the brain, you would have to work with people in a significantly different way. Some people may get benefits, some people may not get any benefit at all. So potentially, if it's something as a hypnotherapist that you want to do, then please get supervision. Please go to a more experienced hypnotherapist and ask them, what would I do? What can I do to work safely? It's a really important thing to do. If I haven't got around to any of your questions, I'm going to take a note of them and I will add them to the list for the next session. So if you've still got questions, feel free to pop them in the comments there. I'll make a note, and next time we do it, it might be next week, it might be in a couple of days, depends how bored I get. I'm going to try and hypnotize some of these chickens now, but remember, stay indoors, stay safe, and practice hypnosis in any way that you can. Practice on yourself, practice on your friends and family, practice on a teddy bear, you know, practice on yourself in the mirror, you know, record yourself on your phone, whatever it is, just get lots and lots of practice, because now's a great time to refine your art. Amazon are still selling stuff. They've still got all my books and things. So if you want to learn rapid inductions, hypnotherapy, stage or street hypnosis, they're there. We've got a 50% off deal on hypnosis-courses.com. The code's on the website. But for now, thank you all very much for tuning in. I'm going to go hypnotize these chickens, maybe eat one. Not sure yet. I'll probably get killed for saying that. But thanks, and I will speak to you again very soon. Ciao, ciao. He doesn't know how to turn it off because he's got weird shit on the thing. Oh, there it is. Bye, everyone.